Annyeonghaseyo. We are Team South Korea, and we will be discussing the cultural comparison between Philippines and South Korea. The following is our lesson agenda. Here's our two main lesson objectives. This figure shows the result based on Hofstede's cultural dimension.
An intermediate score of 60, South Korea is a slightly hierarchical society unlike sa Philippines na nakakuha ng 94. So, doon mataas talaga yung power distance sa Philippines. So, dito naman sa South Korea, meron ding slightly hierarchy. So, it means that people accept a hierarchical order in which everybody has a place and which needs no further justification. So, kung makakapanood kayo ng K-drama, doon yung makikita kung ano bang kultura meron sa South Korea. And dito, napaka-stricto nila when it comes sa power, sa social hierarchy. So, another way in which power distance is manifested in the Korean culture is in the use of terms of address for people who are higher up in the social hierarchy and who are also older. So, sa Korea, malalaman mo yung status ng isang tao depende sa kanyang age, sa kanyang title, at saka kung sa seniority sa work. So, doon natin malalaman, mapapansin agad yung power distance sa paggamit ng address sa isang tao. So, mapapansin din natin na napaka-stricto nila when it comes to seniority. So, kung makakapanood kayo ng K-drama, na para bang pag nasa higher rank ako, kailangan, or mas matanda ako sa'yo, kailangan igalang mo ako, and para bang mapapansin natin doon yung pagbow nila. Doon natin malalaman na, okay, mataas yung rank neto. Depende sa, para bang paggalang yun sa nakakataas sa kanila. So, isa yun sa way na makikita natin yung power distance sa South Korea. Another way pa na ma-identify natin yung power distance is sa the way ng pag-talk nila sa isang tao. So, pag nasa higher rank ka, laging positive word lang yung maririnig mo, and positive words lang yung pwedeng gamitin sa'yo pag nasa higher rank ka. Para bang ang lapit-lapit sa'yo lagi ng mga tao, parang laging pagbibigyan ka lagi, ganon. Pero pag ikaw ay nasa lower rank or wala ka namang status sa hierarchy, so parang any words ay pwedeng gamitin sa'yo, like mura, mga ganon, mga bad words. So, dun mapapansin na agad natin yung power distance sa kanilang kultura. So, based sa mga examples na binigay ko, dun natin masasabi na kung bakit ang South Korea is umabot sa 60% dun sa graph for the power distance. So, pasok pa din sila sa hierarchical society.
Hi, I'm Febrer from BSHM 3A. And today, I will discuss to you about the individualism or collectivism of South Korea and the Philippines. The illustration shows that in terms of individualism, the Philippines scored 32, which is considered as collectivist society. And also, South Korea scored 18, which is also considered as a collectivist society. Since these two countries has a score less than a half of 100, it is not considered as individualist society. May consider sila as collectivist society. So, the Philippines got 32 estimated score, and South Korea got score of 18 only. So, in the Philippines, we all know that most of us are family-oriented. We always think of our family before we do anything. So, para sa atin, ang pagkakasala ng isa ay pagkakasala ng lahat dahil tayo ay iisa. Iisang grupo na magkakasama sa lahat ng gawain. For example, kapag may negative na naganap sa ating pamilya, like halimbawa may nabuntis or may nangyaring masama, parang lahat ng kapamilya ay apektado dahil sasabihin ng iba ay, kilala na yung pamilya na yan, marami nabubuntis ng maaga, marami nasisira pangarap dahil sa kalandian. Or sa positive side naman is halimbawa may nag-graduate ng cum laude or magna cum laude, summa cum laude, or ano naman, nakapasa sa board exam at nag-top notcher. So ang mangyayari, buong pamilya naman ay taas doon na may pagmamalaki ang kaanak na nakakuha ng karangalan. So sa collectivist society ng ating bansa, sinasabi na karamihan sa atin ay makipamilya. At lagi natin kasama ang ating pamilya, maging kalungkutan man or sa katagumpayan.
So, sa South Korea naman,
South Korea scored 18. That's why they are also considered as collectivist society because they are also very family-oriented. Their loyalty towards their family and others that they have strong relations with. An example of this is if a young person was on their way to college, instead of choosing their own preference, mas pinipili nila kung alin ang gusto ng pamilya nila. Like, halimbawa, ang nanay, tatay at mga kapatid niya ay lahat ay doktor. So, dapat ikaw na bunso ay doktor din ang kunin na course kahit na ang gusto mo ay mag-engineering, mag-architect, or mag-pilot. So, kailangan doktor pa rin yung course na piliin mo. In terms of work naman, mas gusto nila gumawa ng sama-sama which they feel that they have better outcomes when they work together. They were working by this step and decision that usually made together rather than magkanya-kanya.
I will discuss the next topic, which is the masculinity of the Philippines and South Korea. In South Korea scored 39 on these dimensions and is thus considered a feminine society. In feminine countries that focus on working in order to live, na ibig sabihin ay nagtatrabaho sila para mabuhay. Managers strive for consensus. People values equality, solidarity, and quality in the working lives. Conflicts are resolved by compromise and negotiations. Incentives such as free time and flexibility are favored. Focus is on well-being status if not shown. An effective manager is a supportive one, and decision-making is achieved through the involvements. Korean women today are actively engaged in a wide variety of fields, including education, medicine, engineering, scholarship, the arts, law, literature, and sports. Women are thus making significant contribution to the society. Kaya ito kinoconsider na feminine society dahil sa mga contribution na naibibigay na ngayon ng mga kababaihan sa lipunan ng South Korea. Ipinasa ng gobyerno ang Equal Employment Act noong 1987 upang maiwasan ang mga gawaing may diskriminasyon laban sa mga babaeng manggagawa. Noong 19th century, binago ng Western Christian missionary ang pamamalakad ng South Korea. Gumawa sila ng mga paaralan upang maturuan ng mga kababaihan sa South Korea upang magkaroon sila ng sapat na kaalaman para makagawa sa iba't ibang bagay. Ang mga kababaihan sa South Korea ay hindi pwede makilahok sa lipunan ng mga kalalakihan dahil katulad din sa Pilipinas na ang mga kababaihan dapat ay nakatuon lamang ang kanilang gawain sa kanilang bahay. In the Philippines score at 64 on this dimension, and thus a masculine society. In masculine countries, people live in order to work. Managers are expected to be decisive and assertive. The emphasis is on equity, competitions, and performance, and conflict are resolved by fighting them out. Ang Pilipinas ay kinoconsider na masculine society dahil sa noong unang panahon ay ang may karapatan lamang na makapagtrabaho ay ang mga kalalakihan kumpara sa mga kababaihan na nananatili lang sila sa mga kanilang tahanan at hindi sila pwedeng magtrabaho gaya ng sa mga kalalakihan.
The example demonstrates that the Philippines scored 44 on the uncertainty avoidance scale, indicating a low preference for doing so. South Korea scored 85, making it one of the nations that avoid uncertainty the most in the world. Low UAI societies maintain a more relaxed attitude in which practice is more important than principles and deviation from the norm is more readily tolerated. High uncertainty avoidance nations uphold strict moral and behavioral standards and are intolerant to unconventional behavior and ideas. Now, let's let's have a look at the difference in behaviors in people coming from low and high uncertainty avoidance cultures. High uncertainty avoidance society create institutions to minimize risk and ensure security. Firms emphasize stable careers and regulate workers' actions. Decisions are made slowly. While in low uncertainty avoidance societies, managers are relatively entrepreneurial and comfortable with risk. Firms make decisions quickly. They are also people are comfortable changing jobs. So for example, there are categories such as social norms between these two countries. In Korea, they are conservatism and they tend to express their emotions, while in the Philippines, we are open to changes. We show more tolerance towards diversity, however, we tend to suppress our emotions. And in relation in the political and legal system, Koreans show weak interest in politics, whereas Filipinos show high interest in politics.
Philippines is a lower percentage, which indicates that Philippines are more normative and pragmatic. The example, the Philippines is focusing on how to make money from their business rather than growing it. Based on my research, South Korea is scored as one of the most pragmatic. Example, in the business, they prefer steady growth of the market share rather than share a quarterly profit. And what that means is they are more concerned with the company's many generations to come rather than making money every quarter. And that's the difference between Philippines and South Korea when it comes to long-term orientation.
Indulgence versus restraint. In the Philippines, they tend to be more indulgent than South Korea. For example, here in the Philippines, when there is an examination on the next day, instead of reviewing it, there are many things to do and criticize, such as leisurely playing. While they are having fun, they will almost forget that they have something to do on the next day. While in South Korea, indulgence says how people try to control their desire in a pose based on the way that they were raised. If they have relatively weak control, you're considered indulgent. As having a strong control, they're considered restrained in scoring 29, and South Korea is considered a restrained society. Example of this is the opposite of what is like here in the Philippines. If they have an examination, they will do a review of a week before. As explained that they are not motivated, they are motivated by self-interest, and they do not emphasize on free time, and they do not indulge on themselves. And that's the difference between indulgence and restraint when it comes to different countries, Philippines and South Korea.
These are the members of our group. Gomab Subnida everyone, and thanks for listening.